Thank you, Chair. Greetings to the board and fellow shareholders. The first step in solving a problem is admitting to it. Fortunately, NAB is clearly aware of the threat of runaway climate change. The second step is to prevent making the problem any worse than it already is. And it's here, at only the second step, that NAB fails miserably. This resolution, filed on behalf of hundreds of shareholders, doesn't ask NAB to fix the climate crisis overnight or stop all financing to the fossil fuel industry immediately. It simply asks the bank, through its financing, to stop making the problem any worse. This would align not just with the science and economic analysis of climate change, but NAB's own pre-existing commitments. The International Energy Agency made clear in 2021 that there is no room to expand fossil fuels if we are to meet the goal of net zero emissions by 2050. It reaffirmed these findings even during a global energy crisis just a few months ago. Yet NAB is actively involved in financing companies and projects that increase the scale of the fossil fuel industry, violating the International Energy Agency's conclusions as well as NAB's own commitments. Whether it's financing Global Infrastructure Partners' investment in the Pluto LNG 2 project that effectively allowed that project to go ahead, or refinancing a Santos loan for the Barossa gas field, a project that has been rejected in the federal court for failing to adequately obtain free, prior, and informed consent from traditional owners. Or our ongoing exposure to Whitehaven Coal, a company whose business strategy is built on expanding thermal coal mining. It seems that if there's a new fossil fuel project on the table or a company trying to make the problem worse, you'll find NAB ready to hand over its customers' money. This pattern of destructive behavior goes back even further. Over the 7 years since the Paris Agreement was signed, this bank has loaned nearly $2 billion for new or expanded coal, oil, and gas projects. Over their lifetime, these projects will enable 5 billion tons of CO2, equivalent to 9 times Australia's 2020 greenhouse gas emissions. We have read your policy and know that it fails to rule out finance for coal expansion by providing corporate finance for companies building new coal projects. We have read your policies and seen how it gives companies planning to rush through new oil and gas projects another 3 years to produce transition plans, without any clarity over what those plans need to contain to be considered satisfactory. We have read and seen the details of your lending, which paints a picture of a bank enthusiastically financing its way towards climate catastrophe. What's difficult to understand is how a bank that promotes itself so heavily as an agribusiness lender is willing to exacerbate one of the biggest risks to the agricultural sector in the form of physical climate risk. Have you read the study published by your peer, Commonwealth Bank, which highlights that by 2060, grain-growing regions are at risk of productivity declines of up to 50% below the 2018 baseline due to changes in rainfall? In fact, the physical impacts of climate change that threaten NAB's balance sheet and the financial security of our clients stretches much further. The bank itself reported on page 91 of the 2022 annual report that Australia's exposure to physical climate risks, including drought, bushfires, and flooding, will have a profound impact on NAB's own loan book, stating the impact of these extreme weather events can be widespread and ultimately may impact the group's ability to recover its funds when loans default. That doesn't sound good. Yet it seems like NAB hasn't even read the climate science or the IEA's net zero by 2050 scenario. If we had, we wouldn't be continuing to bankroll companies like Whitehaven Coal, whose business strategy aligns with a world where global warming exceeds 4 degrees Celsius. Surely that is a scenario where those extreme weather events will impact default rates and put our own balance sheet in peril. Why would we want to do anything that incentivizes this outcome? I commend this proposal to my fellow shareholders as it merely encourages our company to take the most obvious of steps towards protecting our customers and own asset base from the physical impacts of climate change. I would like to just ask one question of you at this point. Whitehaven Coal's corporate facility is due to be refinanced in the next year, and currently NAB is among the lenders. On behalf of shareholders, those experiencing extreme weather events, the farmers worried about groundwater impacts from mining projects and changing rainfall patterns, and young people everywhere, your children and grandchildren, I ask you to commit here and now that NAB will no longer be exposed to Whitehaven Coal after this $1 billion loan matures next year. That perhaps may give some small hope that the bank is moving in the right direction. So what will it be?
Thank you.